How's it going, High Vibe Tribe? So we are here today back at the camper, and today we are going to fix some of those problems that we have had that we talked to you about in our last video. We are still scheduled to go to Brinkley to drop it off for the exterior wall. That's here in a little bit. It's a little bit of a waiting list to get in, but we will update you that as we get a little bit closer and actually take you along as we go do drop off, pick up, and all that stuff when that happens. But in today's video, we're going to fix all these other little things that they already sent us the parts on that we can do ourselves. And that way we can still enjoy the camper and go out camping while we're waiting to get it up there to Brinkley to get it fixed. Because we do have about 2 to 3 camping trips planned before we're going to drop it off. And so we want to get these other things fixed so we can still enjoy it and use it while we're waiting to get on the list or waiting to get into Brinkley up there. So the big project we're going to tackle today is going to be the dryer. If you saw in our Disney vlogs, our dryer tube just keeps breaking off because it's not installed properly or with the proper stuff. So we're going to tackle that today. That's going to be the big project, but then we're also going to do a couple of the small ones as well. So we've got the new Bluetooth radio module that's going to go down here by the TV we're going to install. And we've got some cabinet handles and a couple of little knick-knack things. So stay tuned to follow along as we replace these parts. And so if you need to do it, you can see how to do it yourself. All right, we're gonna start off with the easiest fix yet. So if you remember our fridge lock, it's actually cracked. Again, kind of hard to see on camera, but you can see that big crack down there. And when you flex this, it opens up. So I don't want this to break driving down the road, so they sent us a new one. However, it does come in pieces, so we do have to put it together, but again, pretty straightforward. We're gonna, maybe pretty straightforward, there we go. Get the bolt locked in there, the head locks in that way, and then we got our rubber washer, slide right on, and voila, we have a brand new fridge lock ready to go so that we don't lose the fridge and all of its contents while we're driving down the road. All right, next thing we're gonna fix are these scratched up cabinet handles because these cabinet doors open during traveling. So we're gonna put some foam on them moving forward to help prevent that, or maybe see if Brinkley's got a new way to help prevent these doors from opening when we're up there getting the wall fixed. But in the meantime, one will look good. So you can see here how it has been rubbing over here, just rubbed it raw. There's also one down here that's a little beat up. So we're gonna change these out and get them flipped out. And they seem to be pretty straightforward. It's just gonna be 2 screws here on the back and pop her off and have you a new handle put on. And just like that, it is changed out, good to go, brand new fixed handle. So really easy. So now we're gonna knock that one out, and then we're gonna head to the Bluetooth module that is right over here. Voila, we've got a new handle. Okay, before we get started on this Bluetooth thing, I figured I better take it apart to see what all we're going to do. I did bring in some stuff to cut and splice and reattach some wires because I'm assuming it's going to have some of that and maybe plug and play. I don't know, but either way, I'm not too worried about it. We'll figure it out. But yeah, so it's got the main module itself there, and it looks like it's got a couple RCA connections, usually for your speakers, your output left and right. Or to the amp, and then it does look like it's got 3 wires we'll have to splice, which is probably a power in the red, a ground in the black, and usually it's a power on, like a remote on in the blue. But I will say that they are labeled, so you can see these do have labels on them, ground, power, and remote. So yeah, as expected, that's what it is. So shouldn't be too hard, just a couple wires connect and go on, but we'll go ahead and get this disassembled out underneath here and get it out and then see what we're working with. Oh, but first we gotta get all this stuff out the way. And if you're like us, you probably love board games. So we got Clue, Monopoly, the Game of Life, all that kind of fun stuff. So we like to, on those rainy days, and sit down and play some board games. A lot of fun. So, oh yeah, even got some Uno. So tell us what your favorite game is to play in the camper when you're hanging out. Okay, and this unit is right here in the side. Sorry, it's a little angled, but that's where she's at. So we're gonna see about getting it unscrewed and see what the bottom side looks like. And it's pretty easy to do one-handed here. Screws aren't super tight. And hopefully she'll just pop right out of there. All right. So far, kind of good. Except I don't want to get the RCAs. It's tight. I can't pull it out any further. I'm not worried about these because I can cut and splice those, but those RCAs are definitely something we're gonna have to have. So I may have to open the televator and take a peek and see if I can see these on the side there and see if I can get to them that way. And sometimes leaving it lower, I can kind of get in there and see a little bit better. Okay, and I can see that those RCAs, it's hard to tell in here, but against this wall, they're definitely coming in there. So I'm gonna take a look and see if they connect there or whereabouts. We can go from that way. Whew. After doing some more digging, I found out how to get to the wires finally. You can't get to them from behind the televator like I thought. You can see where they run back, but not the connections. So I actually had to end up taking out the fireplace itself, which is just 2 screws on the front and then 2 screws on each side mounted in there. And I think it's a lot thinner than I thought it was, but I guess it makes sense since it's just electric. But if you look down in here, you will see that is the wires. They come down from right above, which is just obviously right where that piece is mounted. And they are right there. We should be able to splice into those, disconnect those. It looks like they have some Wagyu connectors too, which are, or Wago, I think is how you say them. So it should make it really easy to splice, don't have to do any extra connections. So we'll get working on that and get her swapped out. Okay, and also as you can see, there's actually a zip tie right here, and that's what was holding me from being able to pull these up and out from there. So I'm gonna have to cut that to be able to get these unhooked and separated out. I do like that's nice, so it keeps the wires pulled away. So I'll have to get me another one of those, which I believe I've got one here just in the shop, just from over time of just having it there. So now we can see this is all dangling, where we can now change it out. So we're gonna have to remember this, the solid white is for the black, the purple and white is for the red, and then blue is for blue, of course, from there. And then we have a main out on there for that, and then the aux. So these aren't as crucial to where they go, but we're gonna go ahead and unplug all of this. Let's be careful of our 12 volt because it will probably be hot. So we're gonna leave it in the connector, just disconnect the unit itself only. That way we don't have any live wires bouncing around anywhere, anything like that. All right, one more. And then these 2 RCs here, and it does have the red and the white on there, so you can identify that like so. So now if I go down here, I should be able to pull all this up and out. And our old connector is now out. So now what I'm gonna have to do is transform this plate, move this plate over to the other switch, and then push it back down and wire it in. All right, during all that, as you guys can see, I got a new helper over here. Maddie decided to come hang out. It's raining outside, it's nasty, she can't do a whole lot. So why not let her hang out with me? She loves working with me in the shop and on toys. So she's gonna hang out and be snoozing here while we work on getting this plate off. It's got 2 push down clips on each end. So these all 4 kind of have to be pressed down simultaneously, and then you can push this out like so. I've already got those 2 pushed in and those 2, and then it'll pull out just like that. And then we will go ahead and put the new one in, which I'll have to undo these cable ties here so I can get it to fit through that hole. So we will start fishing it. And there's a smooth side and a rough side. The rough side was the side that was up. So I'm gonna use that, continue to keep it just like it was. That way it all matched just like it came out. Get these last few pieces all pushed in there. And then again, it's got the 4 tabs. You'll just take this and it'll lock in, and that's it. And so now we can fish all of our wires through our hole over here and then reconnect them down here. All right, let's fish our big ones down first and get them out of our way. There's a couple of different cables on here. Go ahead and get our RCAs down to make sure they come down here, which they do, so that's perfect. These little ones I'm a little more worried about not coming down, but We shall see. If we just kind of fish them straight down, hopefully we can grab those. And okay, you can actually get your fingers up there pretty good to pull those down and out. So it actually works pretty well. So now we've got that there. We'll go ahead and screw it in, and that way that's all locked in. Just want to make sure you don't have anything pinched, which we look good from that perspective. Get our first one started, and then make sure it lines up and get our second one going. They lined up easy. You don't want to get these too tight in this wood because it will strip that out. So we'll leave that there. And then we'll jump back down to the bottom to work on getting it all wired up. Back down here, we'll start with our easy ones first. We know that our blue goes to the blue wire. So like I said, good thing them using these Wago clips. All we got to do is pull off our wire stripper that was already stripped there. And then you flip up on these little tabs and you just slide it in till it bottoms out and flip that tab down. Give it a little tug, make sure she's in there good, and that's all there is to it. I'm so glad Brinkley uses these connectors over others because, as you can see, they're reusable. So when you're doing maintenance or fixing things, it's so much easier to make those changes without having to buy a whole bunch of new connectors and any of that kind of stuff. So shout out to Brinkley on those. I am really happy that they do that. And then we had our white and purple was our power. So we are going to flip it up and do the same thing here, but we got to twist her in first to make sure it doesn't come frayed apart, and that way it gets a good grip. So we've got her in the second slot, lock it down, give it a little tug, it's good to go. And then last but not least, we will do our ground. And there is actually a third slot on these Wago connectors, so if you needed to add something else with 12-volt power, you could theoretically. You have a nice hot and ground right here that you could do that on very simply. So it's nice to know you have that capability to expand if you needed to for a 12-volt. These two here, we've got a main out and an auxiliary in. We just want to use the main out for now. That's what's going to tell it to take the Bluetooth and put it to the amplifier to then play through the speakers that are up above. And as far as left and right, it's not that crucial at this point, but we are going to go ahead and hook these up like so. But one thing else I will say with this input here is if you wanted to run the TV through without it being in Bluetooth, you could take these, run them through this hole, and then attach that to the back of your TV. That way your TV can run through there without having to Bluetooth it all the time. You can just put it on auxiliary, or if you wanted to put any other type of, audio device that has RCA capability, you could do that as well. So to be able to play into your ceiling speakers there. So I may actually end up doing that. I may put these through the hole for now, but be able to add that later to where I can do my TV to it, because doing it Bluetooth all the time can kind of be cumbersome if need be. So nice little feature to have on that. So now I'm going to go look and see in the shop here if I've got any of these zip ties that can screw into the wall here. I believe I do. If not, I think I have another option that'll work. So I'm going to go check that out, and then I'll be back in a minute with what we find. Okay, so I wasn't able to find a zip tie with a hook on it, but I use a lot of these and a lot of work that I do, and I'm building like cars and other things. That's kind of my hobbies, like restoring cars and working on stuff. So these are just a plastic wire tie clip to kind of keep wires and brake lines and things like that held. I have metal and plastic. I'm just gonna use plastic in here because it doesn't really need to be metal, just like the zip tie. And so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna try and put the wires in there and do that. And then I also brought a zip tie that I can run through here to then also tie any excess that won't fit in there into that. That way we kind of get a double whammy. We get both taken care of all in one swoop, and that way hopefully this will keep this all up out the way, especially from this furnace. We don't want it to be catching that because I'm sure it does get a little bit toasty. So we'll kind of keep everything above this line, I think is safe to do. And that way when it goes back in here, we don't have to worry about any of these wires, touching it or melting on it or anything like that. So we'll try to get this put together and in this sleeve, and then we'll get it mounted on the wall. Actually, I don't think we're gonna need zip tie. I think it's gonna work and hold just like it needs to. So we're just gonna button this down, and I think we're gonna be in good shape. Alrighty, there she is, all nice and neat, up out the way. Should be out of the furnace. Everything's hooked up. So now let's, I guess, test her out and see if she works. Alrighty, we've got her here ready to test out. So the power button's right there. And oh man, that's so much better than the last one. So click that. I will have to go ahead and resync that to my phone here. So I'm gonna do that real fast, see if we can find it. I don't know if we have to click this or not. So we'll give it just a second. Okay, my phone did find it. It's right there. It's that DV whatever. So we're gonna go and select that and get our pairing process complete. Okay, it's not flashing anymore, so I'm just going to assume that that means it is paired. It does show that it is paired here on my phone, like it's connected. So let's go to Spotify here and see if we got some music. Turn it up. There, it's working. Woohoo! Easy fix, not too bad. So yeah, it's jamming out, it's working good, and I believe you can even control the volume from down here as well, and you can even skip songs as well. So, and it does work. It did skip the song here, and you can control volume too. So that's really, really cool. And then pause and play as well does work. So far, this one's working much better than the Boss Audio. This one, this brand, it is called something different. Let's see here, it is DB Drive. So if you're having problems with the Boss Audio one, reach out to Brinkley. If it does the humming and all that stuff, this one definitely seems to be working better. Time will tell if the humming's fixed and all that stuff after we get a couple of campgrounds underneath it and use it, but we'll definitely keep you guys updated. But that's how you change it out if you have this style here on your Brinkley Model Z. And like that, she's done. Let's move on to the next project. Okay, on to save the biggest project for last, and that is going to be this dryer in the bedroom. So I've already kind of got a little head start to save you guys from the boring stuff, but I took the doors off of the cabinet. It just makes it much easier so you're not bumping into them, accidentally pushing them open too far and damaging them. So for 2 screws a piece, they just unscrew on each end. I left this one because this one I wanted to touch with, but they just one screw pop right off and allow you to get to the dryer. So the next step going to be here to get this out is we'll have to pop this trim piece off down here that actually covers the screws right there that hold the dryer and the washer together. And the reason I'm going to take those out is then I can push this back to be able to get to the screws that hold this crossbar on, which with that out, it actually almost pretty much has to come out because I've not found a way to be able to lift this dryer up enough where it doesn't hit the roof back here to be able to scoop it up and out without damaging that bar. So not too bad, but it does take a little more work. So I'm going to work on getting that out, and then I will catch you guys after that. Okay, we got the cross member out. I laid down some plastic and then a moving blanket on the bed so Jessica doesn't kill me when she sees me put the dryer here and don't want to mess up and get the bed all dirty, but it should be protected pretty well. So now we're going to get this out. We're going to kind of have to unplug it and unhook it and all that at the same time. So that would be kind of fun, which actually I think I can get to the plug right here before I even take it out, so I don't have to worry about that. There it goes. And I think the hose is already disconnected because that's why it's broke. That's the whole reason we're doing this. So hopefully I should just be able to pull it out and plop her down on the bed here, and then we can work on fixing the dryer vent behind it. So see how this goes. And it's not too heavy, obviously being an RV unit, but we still want to be careful not damage anything. You can hear the hose. So it is still connected, but it is obviously broke, as you can see down there. So we're going to go ahead and come here and kind of pull out as much slack and rotate this so it should sit on the bed while I work on getting that undone, hopefully. All right, perfect. So we'll take a little screw here. We got to get the right bit we need. And this little deal is handy from Harbor Freight if you don't have it. It's this little Icon multi-tool. They now make a bigger version of it, but it keeps a lot of different bits and stuff that you need really quickly and handy. So we just need a flathead so we can disconnect this dryer tube. Alrighty, we got her off of there. And so you guys that didn't see what happened originally, what the actual problem is you're like, oh, it looks fine. It's going right to the dryer hose. That's all good. Well, the problem with this particular Splendid dryer is that the outlet's actually on this side. So you can see here, here's the back of it. The outlet is on, when you're looking from the front of it, on the left side. So when they put this in here, we try to get all of this kinked pushed back in here as much as you can. It ends up kinking this between the dryer and this deal itself. And then in turns, it just busts the hose open once it gets hot after you run it. So they do make this metal elbow that goes from here and kind of transitions over this way to make that work. However, it still looks really restrictive. And so I'm going to have to take all this out to replace this anyways. I'm going to go ahead and put one of these just right across from it where it belongs. Well, I'm going to put it the right height and everything. I think it belongs like right in here somewhere, because this is all hollow behind here. You can reach your hand back here and feel, and there's nothing else really back there. So since we have the room, we're gonna go ahead and do it the right way and put it back there. And that way it'll be free flowing, no issues, and should work no problems moving forward from there. So that being said, we're gonna finish getting this cleaned up in here, and then we will mark our template here and get this hole cut out. All right, so I think I've got everything gathered I need. So like I said, what we're gonna do is we're gonna take this, which is one of those with the lid on it, and we're going to mount it right down here. One thing is, there is one little crossbar that's kind of hidden back here, just to give this some rigidity in here. I'm going to go ahead and cut through it anyways, because I really want this to be as close to straight shot through as we can for that. That way we know we've got good, but we're not going back up just to get kinked up again. So it's going to end up going about right there, give or take some. And we're gonna get that done. So we'll take this cap off, and then we will trace it out there on the wall to make sure we got it right where we want it to be. So I kind of took some makeshift measurements from my deal earlier. I know I want her about right there. So we are gonna take my good old handy dandy Sharpie, and we are gonna trace around our hole here, all the way around. At least everywhere we can reach, right? Okay, well, we got our hole pretty close. We can kind of see where that lines up, and if we do this like that, and also mark our insides to help us make the circle. So we know we need to kind of follow this number right there. So not too bad. Again, this is all just a rough template, so we know where to go. And I will say, this is like a permanent marker, supposed to be, but okay, it's on there. It looks like it's bubbled up, like it's not really dry, but I guess it is. So now that we have that done, I'm gonna go ahead and take one of these smaller hole saw bits, because I don't have a big enough hole saw to drill that hole out down there. So we're gonna start here and drill us kind of probably one down here to get to the bottom, one up here and one here and one there, and then we'll take the multi-tool and we'll end up cutting it all out from there. So let's see how this goes and see if it works as planned. And actually, while we're doing that, we're gonna have the vacuum going to help catch all of our dust. Just like that, we're right through. And this is, like I said, it's just a really thin wall, so it should be pretty easy to cut and get through with whatever you're trying to cut through it with. So we'll pop out our disc here. There we go. Got her out. On to the next one. All right, next, now we got all of our 4 holes cut. We're gonna try and take the multi-tool, which is good for everything, and we're just gonna connect our dots all the way around, and hopefully that will cut her out enough for us to be able to get this plate put in. So let's see how it goes. So there's that cross member. I was telling you it's back there. So I got to do a little bit more cutting to get all the way through that guy and get it out of there. And then we'll see if hopefully our deal fits in here. Looks like it's fitting pretty good. Meant to do a little bit more trimming, but not too much. So let's get that cut out. Alrighty, we got that cut out. So now we can see how she fits. She actually fits pretty darn good. I don't mind it being a little snug, and that's all fitting pretty good. We have one little spot up here. So I'm gonna mark it so we can just do a light trimming on it. And I think we will have this puppy knocked out. All right, let's see how that does. And again, I don't mind it being snug because that means it's a good fit in there. And looky there, she is now mounted in there. We got our 2 holes. This back panel's still strong, even with that little brace kind of cut out in it, because it ain't gonna hurt nothing. It's not holding any weight, so I feel good about that. That's exactly where I want that to be. Like I said, it had to be a little bit lower than this one, and just right centered there. So I think it's going to line up just about perfect to where our deal is there. So I'm gonna get all of this cleaned up, and then we will, actually I'm gonna go and screw the screws in there, and then we'll get this cleaned up, and we'll be ready to start putting it all back together. All right, so we've gotten all of our screws in. We've got our new hose. I went and opted for a little bit heavier duty one as well. So this is your standard aluminum foil, but then it's got like a dark black heavy coating on it as well. So a little bit stouter, a little bit stronger. And it goes in here where the dryer vent connects to through the wall from the outside. So it's just got a quick push connect there. So I've already got it hooked there that way. So next step is going to be dragging the dryer over, getting that vent hose hooked up on this side, and then we will get it all shoved in here and ready to go. So I'm hoping I can get the dryer over here enough and set it in here enough where I can work on it and hook the hose to it. If not, I'll do it like I did there and kind of hook it up over there and then fish it back in, as there's plenty of room behind that wall for that hose to kind of, you know, curl up and dangle up down there. So we'll see what we can do. Okay, I can't move it once it's in there, so I'm gonna have to run the hose here and then kind of snake it back as we go. But with it being lined up, it should go back in easy. So we're gonna start off by just twisting her here and going ahead and getting our clamp and our hose on. So I'll kind of work on that now. So if I can bring you guys over here so you can see what we got going on. So we'll go ahead and get her attached here. I will say the sticker, or this hose with this extra coating is like a little bit bigger. So it is a little more tough to get on this deal here, but I think when she's on there, it'll be good to go. There we go. Now we got her hooked up and go put our hose clamp on there. Make sure she's good and tight. All right, she's on there good. So next steps is get her put here into the hole. Go ahead and move as much of the slack as we can into the hole. And then we'll have to keep our power cord up out the way. And get the dryer rested in there like so. Alrighty. Let's keep that from getting pinched. Okay, get around our plug, which we look to be doing good at. All right, I think we are hitting our hose there, but I've learned a trick. If I go outside, I can pull the hose through the vent on the outside and it help pull me that slack out and around. So I'm gonna go do that and I'll be right back. Alrighty, we have got her back in there. I still have to put on the brace in the doors, but you can see she fits in there. She went in way easier than before. I did test it out. She does turn on, everything works good. The air is coming out outside, or the vent, like it should, and there's no kinks in there as well. And one tip I'll tell you guys, if like you're trying to see behind something like this that's really hard, you can always like take the camera like on your phone or something and kind of stretch it like that and be able to see what's going on behind you, or behind what you're looking to do, without being able to actually see it. So I looked real quick, I could see that it was kinked up a little bit. I was actually able to just lean the dryer forward enough to kind of push the hose to get it lined straight and back up. And when I pushed it back, it all fell in accordingly, right to itself. And now look back there, it's no longer kinked, or at least not in a bad position. And now it's good to go. So I just gotta finish putting these doors on and all of that, and we'll have this project wrapped up. Okay, now that the dryer is complete and working good, we are done with our camper warranty projects for now. Even Matt says, come on Dad, we're ready to go for a walk. Let's get out of this camper and do something fun. So that's what we're about to do. We're gonna finish cleaning up, vacuum up all of our mess, and go catch Jessica. I think she's back up at the house, so we'll go find her. And we'll see you guys when we go camping here in just a few weeks.